Asylum Justin Malamar for Revolution News here at Ontario Court of Justice. Well, folks, here I am standing outside of Ontario Court of Justice to do a story regarding about Linda Gibbons, a pro-life activist who is currently facing mischief charges and violation of the free speech bubble zone. And also, according to the screen that I have seen inside the courtroom, is that, well, she is also charged with failure to comply with the release order. So, well, basically, after the matter has been adjourned, she's been basically escorted back to prison, which, well, she will have to spend another month behind bars until her next court hearing, I would say. But, well, basically, the thing here, folks, is the moment the matter been adjourned, well, that thing did not sit well with the spectators and the supporters of Linda Gibbons, as well. Some of the things that I have heard inside the courtroom is, well, this is injustice, she could pray behind her back. And you know what here, folks? That just tells you that the support for Linda Gibbons is just like, well, overwhelming, because I think she has some supporters that has not showed up. But, well, quite frankly here, folks, is, well, the free speech bubble zone is being passed under the previous provincial government. I would say has been passed. And you know what here, folks? The question matter here is, well, I actually had the chance to talk to Avery, who is one of Linda Gibbons' biggest supporter, I would say, and a fellow pro-life activist. Like, Avery is a pro-life activist just like Linda Gibbons, and a freedom activist also. But, well, I managed to get his side of story regarding about this matter. And you know what here, folks? The thing here is that, well, the free speech bubble zone surely violates the Constitution according to Avery, and from my perspective, it surely violates the Canadian Bill of Rights. But, well, just check out what Avery has to say about this matter. Here, folks, check it out. So, Avery, just give me some intro to this matter about Linda Gibbons.
So Linda Gibbons has been a long-time pro-life activist who's basically spent 11 years in jail for violating court injunctions to not go near abortion clinics with a pro-life message. So what happened afterwards was, in 2018, the Ontario Kathleen Wynne government imposed provincial legislation that made it illegal to express any kind of pro-life views within 50 meters of a clinic. And so what happened was, recently, Linda Gibbons was arrested 4 times in the past 2 months for violating this provincial censorship law. And as of now, she faces 5 charges. I believe it's 3 charges of violating that provincial censorship law and 2 criminal charges, one of them being mischief, interfere with property. Now, they can't hold her on the provincial censorship law charges, but they can hold her on the criminal charges. So they charge her with mischief, interfere with property, which, you know, for a recap, it's the same charge that they charged Tamara Litch, Chris Barber, and the other truckers with. So it's really just a catch-all lawfare charge. But nonetheless, that was used to hold her, and so she's like a 77-year-old woman, and what happened was she's been in custody ever since her arrest, and she's going to be in custody again for another month, like just for holding a pro-life sign, basically. And so we're here to stand in support of her today. So this highlights an issue of a two-tier justice system where, killers or robbers or predators are given given due process, presumption of innocence and stuff, which, but then it's like once you go against the establishment, it's like, oh, they make the process the punishment. Because why? Even if Linda Gibbons were convicted on all charges, the penalty she would get is far less than what she's spending in custody now.
And the other part here, Avery, is that what kind of message do you think is being sent here when it's come to going after people who actually dare to protest outside a abortion clinic, or expressing their view on the abortion matter?
So my sign here says it all. Unified non-compliance equals null and void bubble zone. So I'll explain what that means. You remember back when they had the COVID going on in the early 2020s, one person, you have one person disobey, they get ticketed, they get arrested. But you have 10 people, sure, you may have a ticket or two handed out, but then you have 100 people and then the police stood down. You have 1,000 people and the police give you an escort. 10,000, 100,000, okay, Trudeau declares the Emergencies Act, but the point is we need unified numbers, because when we all unify, they cannot overwhelm us. If we unify in numbers, we become too much, and we all unify peacefully, non-compliantly. So it highlights the importance of being unified in numbers. Like, we all have to support one another wherever we can.
And the other thing here is that you mentioned about the Emergency Act, and I want to get into that because you have mentioned it. Do you think that there's a possible chance that if many people dares to protest outside a abortion clinic whatsoever, do you think that there's a possible chance that this current provincial government, the Ford government, might do the same thing the Trudeau government did, which is freezing people's bank accounts?
It really all depends, because we know how the court ruled on that. The court gave us a favorable ruling on that, so that could act as a deterrent. But at the same time, we know that the government likes to do what they want and may leave it on the people to push for accountability, so anything's possible. But if we keep everything at the grassroots level, and you keep everything cash transaction only, they can't trace anything. So it's like they'll have to know where to start, and if you don't give them any starters, they won't be able to. Yeah, so it's about flying below the radar.
So one lastly, Avery, is that what do you think this type of a lawfare, you call it a lawfare, but
Yeah.
basically what kind of thing do you think it's been pushed to the people, or when the previous provincial government, the Kathleen Wayne government, passed this law and now been used against people who actually express their rights under the Canadian Bill of Rights and the Charter of Rights to peacefully protest? So do you think that the message is, don't you dare do that, even though you have the rights, and we don't care if it violates your rights?
Absolutely, and it's not just against the Charter and the Bill of Rights, but it's also against the 1867 Constitution Act, because did you know the 1867 Constitution Act says that only the federal parliament can enact criminal law. And so how is that relevant? Because our Supreme Court has ruled multiple times that any kind of legislation, penal legislation, that is triggered by the content of one's speech or communication is considered criminal law. So even forgetting about the Charter and the Bill of Rights, it violates the 1867 Constitution Act because why? The provincial government exceeded their authority. So the message that the government was setting by passing a law is they don't care about the law, they just want to censor, and the ends justify the means. So the message the government is setting is ultimately that they're just desperate to enable these globalist censorship and this narcissistic spirit, because these activists, okay, who push this law, they're under a narcissistic spirit, because the way they conduct themselves has a lot of the check marks of narcissism, and of course they need enablers, which is a corrupt government that's willing to treat their boots as lollipops, basically. So we have to remind the government, okay, the boots of these special interest groups are not lollipops. So yeah, it comes down to booth licking, basically, the special interest groups.
Alright, thank you for your time, Avery.
Okay, God bless you.
So there you have it there, folks. You can just see right there that, well, basically, also kind of asked him about the potential of this current provincial government, the fourth government, going to the path where the Trudeau government went into 2 years ago, which is invoking the Emergency Act and freezing people's bank accounts. And you know what here, folks? Basically, I think the free speech bubble zone has been adjourned till August 20th, and the mischief charge is until October 22nd, but I might be mistaken here, folks. But we shall see what will happen on August 20th, which is going to be the next court date for Linda Gibbons, whether she will be set free or this thing will stick through and have to spend another months in jail, and also whether the judge is willing to grant her bail on those matters. We're gonna have to see here, folks. For Revolution News, I'm Asylum Justin Malamor. Folks, you know that Revolution News doesn't receive a single penny from Justin Trudeau's media bailout, and if even offered, no one on earth I'm gonna take that. So folks, if you appreciate this type of independent journalism, please consider supporting my work by heading over to donorbox.org/Revolution Freedom Reports. That's donorbox.org/Revolution Freedom Reports. And of course, here, folks, if you could kick in a buck or two, that will be greatly appreciated here, folks. Thank you so much.